Hey, 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 party people. It's Brandi and Cesley, and we're back with Blooming Through Faith, the podcast that helps you grow and bloom in your mindset, lifestyle, health, and wealth. We want you to know that you are capable, beautiful, and worthy. All right, grow girls, new year, new energy, baby. All right. We are going to talk about how to eliminate energy vampires. You know, those people that you're around and it like sucks the energy out of you, right? How to get rid of them. It's time to reclaim your power, set boundaries that protect your peace. This year, we are cutting ties with what drains us and we are embracing what fuels us. Let's dive into how to eliminate those energy vampires so we can glow up in every area of our lives.
Yes. Okay, y'all, Brandy and I really hate energy vampires. And we all have them in our lives. Let's just say, we all have energy vampires. We all have people that are just you got to be around them. They're a part of your life, but sometimes you leave them and you just feel exhausted. This can be family, friends, coworkers. There's all kinds of areas in our lives where we have to deal with people like this. So this is an important topic because we want to talk about how can you get rid of them, but also we're nice people. You don't want to be mean, right?
And
So
you can't necessarily get rid of them. Like
yeah, you
wish
can't be
cut, like see
yeah,
it in her, but you can't do that with these
yeah.
people.
Aunt Sally, sorry,
Yeah.
I don't have an Aunt Sally, so I'm using that as an example. Sorry, Aunt Sally, I never want to see you again. You can't say that. But if Aunt Sally is someone who, she calls you, if she pulls up on your phone, on your screen when they're calling you and you're like, oh, do I answer this phone call? They might be an energy sucker. So we're going to talk about how to deal with them, right? That's the best thing I can think of. If someone comes up on your screen
Mhm.
that they're calling you and you're like, do I answer this phone call or no? Then they're probably an energy vampire. So we're going to talk about how to politely set boundaries with these people. So first thing you got to do, set boundaries. Okay. You want to do it politely. You don't want to be, an a-hole. Okay. Don't be rude, but politely but firmly limit the time and energy that you spend with them, right? Energy is the important word here, right? Not just the time, but the energy that you spend with them and on them. So it's really easy to do this. You just have to intentionally start adding phrases into your vocabulary when you're talking to these people, oh, hey, you know what? I'm going to say Aunt Sally again because she's now my example. Aunt Sally, I can't talk about this right now. They want to call you, they want to gossip about something that is just going to be an hour-long conversation. You know what, Aunt Sally? I'm so sorry. I got the kids in the car. I can't talk about this right now. Or, wow, that sounds like a really tough situation. Can we maybe talk about some solutions or what's positive that you can get out of this? I actually have a really good friend that's really good at this. So every time we're talking about something or we're around people who are talking about something, they'll go, "Oh, well, you know what? Um, in that situation, was God glorified and was there something good that happened at the end?" And they kind of just stop and look at her, and she does it all the time. And I just giggle because I'm like, well, yeah, they can't really say anything now, can they? What are they going to say about that? So it's easy to kind of just turn the conversation around and just say hey, can we talk about some solutions or what's maybe something positive that happened in that conversation? So try to get them to shift the focus on something else.
That's so good. And that's so powerful too, is like having those boundaries with people. And like you mentioned on the phone or in person and just kind of flipping the script. Like if somebody's being negative about something, hey, how can we find a solution for this? Right? How do we be solutions oriented versus go to worst case scenario? The sky is falling. It really isn't. Right. So I think that's really big. And also, the number two thing that we want to do is limit exposure. So, like we said at the beginning of this, is we can't just rid ourselves of these people. And actually, we don't. We love these people, but they can suck energy and life out of us, especially if you're an empath. I am a huge empath. So I
Yeah.
am like everybody's energy and feelings, like I take it on. And so I've had to learn to, like Cecily said, set boundaries. And then the second thing is limit exposure. Okay. So if possible, reduce your interactions with them. The less phone calls, like, hey, like Cecily said, I can't really talk about this right now.
Yeah.
Let's chat later kind of thing. Or don't see them as much, right? Don't like spend as much time on them. I know there's some people who have shown their true colors to me and I go back and for whatever reason it's like a It's like a
Like a trauma response.
yes. And I was
Going back to people that are energy suckers.
it's like, oh my gosh, you were mean to me. You're sucking my energy. You're not fueling my fire. But like, slapping me.
Maybe I'll check again. Like maybe it was me. Maybe it was a bad day. It wasn't. Trust
It
me.
wasn't.
It was not a bad day.
Yes, and that's another thing I want to talk about. That is the energy vampires. And then when people show you their true colors, believe them. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I'm not being mean. Can people change? Absolutely. But if somebody is rude to you, disrespectful to you, treats you a bad way, and it's happened more than once, baby girl, that's their true colors.
Mhm.
Limit your exposure with them. There are so many people in this world that truly care about you, that want to fill your cup, that want to see you do better. So literally get away from those that don't fill your cup and start to be, like we talked about, our word of the year, unbothered by it, right? So if you
Unbothered.
yes, when you know how somebody's going to react, when you know how somebody's going to treat you, like, hey, okay, they apologize for this, but it's just going to happen again. Expect it to happen again and don't get mad about it, right?
Yeah.
So be unbothered. I talk about this all the time. I have a family member who is always late. That's just who that person is. And it used to bother me because how I was raised, Cecily, was, hey, if you are early, you're on time. You're on time, you're late. If you're late, you might as well not even show up, right? But now I realize
I
that's
know.
how my
I
daddy said,
worked with you. I know this.
oh yeah, Cecily. When we were
I worked with Brandi. I know this. I have made the mistake of being late to meet her like once. And the look that she looked, let me just tell you, the face that she faced, okay, was literally like, what is wrong with you?
I know, I'm like,
Why are
you're
you
so much more professional in that session.
I think she even said
cannot
that to
believe
me.
you're
She was
late.
like, you are so much more professional than this. What happened? And this was also like in South Florida where the traffic is ridiculous. I was like, listen, I don't know. I was lost. I don't know where I was. I don't know. I'm so sorry. But it's funny because I agree with this. I grew up, and I'm just going to say who it was because my mother knows. My mother, named Mom.
Love your mom.
She's fantastic. She's late everywhere. Like it's ingrained in her DNA. She can't, and you just know it now. Like you're unbothered by it. Thanksgiving,
Yes.
she was like, I'm in the car, forgetting that like I have her location. I'm like, you're still at your house, boo. What are you doing? Like you are not on your way. Or she'll be like, I'm 20 minutes away. And I'm like, we share locations. I can see you. You know, she doesn't care. She knows this. She knows I can see her. She's just like, I'm being polite, Cecily. I'm telling you that I'm on my way. I'm like, no, you're not. So just learn to be unbothered by those people. Don't let them.
100%. Because I used to be so bothered. Cecily just
Yeah.
called me out. I used to be so stinking bothered. Then I'm like, who cares? Like,
Yeah.
who cares if somebody's late? Who cares if somebody doesn't show up? Who cares if
Yep.
somebody cancels plans? Who cares?
It's fine.
Other people's actions cannot bother us anymore. We cannot control the way they think, the way they speak, what
Yep.
they do, how they treat us. We got to be unbothered. And you know what we got to do? We got to learn from our mistakes, right, Cecily?
Yep.
We need to limit exposure, like we were talking about, with these energy vampires. Because the less time you spend with people who suck out your energy,
Mhm.
the better off you're going to be. So that was number 2.
Yeah. The better off you're going to be too. And just like Brandi said, when people are energy vampires and they start to kind of disappoint you, you have to think like, am I really disappointed or am I just annoyed that they did this? Because if you don't, if they're an energy sucker and they're late somewhere or they're not there, you're probably better off anyway. Like it's probably good that they didn't show up or that they're late or that they didn't, because you're like, oh, now I don't actually have to deal with them. So that's great. All right. But on that same topic, you need to be able to be, so this is number 3, make sure that you can be really honest with people when they are being energy vampires. And this is just something that we should do as women overall with each other. Like it is so important that we learn the habit, like this is a skill and it takes time and practice, but learn the skill of being able to address issues directly but kindly with other women. You have no idea how many times women have, like my friends, like my good girlfriends, we've been in conversations and they're like, oh, I could never have that conversation. Then they look at me and go, oh, Cecily could. She
Oh,
doesn't mind.
girl, everybody
Fine.
expects us to do that. Isn't
Like,
that
what do you mean
ridiculous?
it's fine? I don't like confrontation. And they're like, no, but you also don't really care. And I'm like, well, yes and no. Like I do care. I care deeply for people, and people that know me know that. But I also do not mind at all having a confronting conversation if it's something that's going to bring things to the surface. Because let me tell you, the enemy lives in the dark. And if someone is an energy vampire to you and you get irritated with them, ooh, I can't tell you the amount of times that the enemy has used that in my own life with my friends to stir up grudges and make that, because God wants unity with women. He wants us to be together. He wants us to collaborate. He wants us to work together. He wants us to love one another. And the enemy does not. So the second that you start hiding how you feel about somebody and then just avoiding them altogether, like you don't actually address the issue, it just creates this void and you start getting angry and agitated. And then it also leads to gossip. Then you're going to start gossiping about them. And then you're going to start thinking bad things about them. And it's just, it ends up turning you into somebody that you don't want to be. So you have to be able to have conversations like, for example, hey, I've noticed that lately, like every conversation we have feels super heavy or super negative. Like, let's talk about that. I really would love for us to focus on the positive in things. I hate having conversations that feel so heavy. Like, and maybe even asking them, like, is there something going on with you that you're just pulling like the negativity out of everything? Or maybe we can focus on something more positive. Like, it's absolutely okay to have a conversation with a friend or a coworker or a colleague that addresses the fact that they are a negative Nancy. And if they get offended, that's okay. Like, you have to be okay with offending people if you are being honest, if you are being kind, and if you're doing it to try and have a solution with somebody.
Yeah, I think that's so good. And just being like honest and direct and upfront with each other, I think is huge. I love what you said about the enemy and women because I think that happens a lot. And then once something happens with somebody, just like Cecily said, if you don't, hey, nip it in the bud or have that conversation. So the first thing is have that conversation. If you don't, then everything they do is going to drive you crazy. Everything
Mm-hmm.
you're going to do, you're going to assume that it's on purpose. You're going to assume X, Y, and Z when it's probably not. And that's
Builds.
the devil. Now, if they don't change, they don't care, whatever, you just
Yeah.
have to be more unbothered. Like, hey, I was direct. This person did X, Y, and Z. I had that conversation with them. They didn't change. Okay, a zebra doesn't change its stripe. That's fine. But being upfront and honest with each other is really important.
It
So,
helps you more than it helps them, really, being
100%, because
honest.
then it
Like,
gets
it's
off
just
of
about getting
your
it off
chest.
your chest. Yeah.
And it's not like it's like the poison that you're like you're
Mm-hmm.
slowly dying from because you're having this resentment, you're feeling this way, you're angry. Just like let it go. The ball's in their court. If they decide to change and be a better person and be less negative, great. If not, great. You got it off of your chest kind of thing. And that goes along with number 4, which is protect your energy.
Mm-hmm.
Protect your energy. The best advice that I could give you is to practice mindfulness or prayer before and after interactions with these energy vampires to shield and protect you, right? And what I was listening to a podcast today and I loved what he said. He basically said, pray for your enemies. And I know Cecily has said this so many times. I think that just speaks volumes because at the end of
Mm-hmm.
the day, if we can give grace and then we can pray over these people for these people and know that like there's nothing that we're doing wrong kind of thing is going to be so helpful. And so before you're jumping on a call with them, before you're, around them, practice mindfulness, say a prayer like, God, get me through this, help me help this person be a nicer person or have better
Yeah.
energy. Lord, speak through me kind of thing. Like, I think that will go a long way. And then honestly, just at the end of the day, it goes back to those boundaries. It goes back to how much time you have with these people because
Yeah.
there's an episode we talked last year, Cecily. You probably won't remember what I'm talking about, but it was so good. But it's basically like you only have X amount of hours in the day, X amount of cups to fill, right? And so making sure that you prioritize, that work, that family, whatever, and you're not sucking
I
too much.
remember that episode.
So
It was my
good.
spoons theory.
Yes,
I
your
couldn't explain right.
theory. It was so good. But anyway, you cannot put too many things in your day. Like, think about this for a second. If there are a few energy vampires in your life, don't put them
Mhm.
all in one day. Don't talk to them all in
Don't
one
do that.
day,
Yeah.
right? Make sure
Spread
that
them
you're
out.
what?
I said spread them out.
Spread them out, baby. And also, like Cecily said, when somebody calls you, you're like, oh man, oh, should I answer? It's an energy
Yeah.
vampire. There's the opposite of that. There are those people that call you or text you. You're like, oh, I love this. Oh, this person made my day. Oh, I want to answer it. So spend more time with those people. Counteract it, right?
Yeah.
Protect your peace.
Protect your peace. And just to even like add a more biblical stance on it, because that's always where I'm going to come from, is like there is very much a spiritual, like when you feel someone's energy, that's because there is a spiritual aspect attached to every single person. And it's either the Holy Spirit or it's some other spirits hanging out. Like just making that, like we all go through life, we all have trauma. And especially if you're someone who's lived through any kind of trauma, there is stuff that just sticks to you. And that's where we have like the power of the Holy Spirit that comes in and really just fixes that in us and helps us. And God says that we are to guard our hearts, to guard our thoughts, to guard our minds. Like that's not on accident. The Lord tells us to guard our thoughts and our minds and our hearts and to put on the full armor of God. Like he tells you, pick up your shield, put on your armor. That's to protect from other people. Like that's just biblical. Like he tells you, like, you need to armor yourself against these people. And that's exactly, I think, what Brandy's talking about is like protecting your energy is just kind of armoring yourself against everything that people are going to try and throw at you, because it will stick to you if you're not guarding your thoughts and your heart and yourself, really. And she did say one thing that kind of goes into our next number 5 of how to get rid of the energy suckers, which is to build a positive support system. So if you have these people in your life, you really have to recognize how many of the people within your circle and within your life are energy vampires, and how many people in your circle are people that are like-minded like you, that build you up. And if that scale is unbalanced, you have to correct it. You just have to. You have to make sure you're spending time with uplifting, encouraging, like-minded people. You have to make sure that if you don't have that in your workplace, in your home, if you just realize that everywhere you go, every day that you're somewhere you feel like you're just being drained, you have to make an effort to either join groups, join communities. Maybe you join a gym where you start taking classes with just like fun girls. Spend time with people that align with your values and boost your energy. I'm going to tell you, I joined a new gym like, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago. And really it was just because I wanted the spray tanning and the red light therapy. So I joined like all the things, right? Because I was like, I need a place to go for red light therapy. So I joined, and then I started going to this one where I only take one workout class there a week, and it's on Fridays. And I have now they've added me to they have a little Facebook Messenger group where they all chat, and they've added me, and I don't really write back a lot in it, but like they're so positive. They talk back and forth so often in this group, and they're like, great job, ladies. Awesome job today. You guys are so amazing. And these are women of like all ages and ranges and all different like walks of life. And so imagine if you're surrounded by energy vampires all day long, join a group like that. You need people that are going to be filling your cup. And the only other thing I want to say on that too is you really, really, especially as women, Brandy and I, as women who have been in terrible relationships with people that are supposed to be very close to you that were these energy vampires. Like I remember living at home being drained every day by someone who was just sucking the energy out of me. And it is a very different place to come to feel like you are surrounded by loving, encouraging people. You need to really take an assessment of your life and see, how do I feel when I'm at home? How do I feel when I'm at work? How do I feel when I'm within my business and my fellow, business owners? If you partner with people in your business, how do I feel when I'm around my friends? And if any of these environments make you feel like you're being drained of your energy, you need to fix it, and fix it fast.
That's so good. Take an assessment of all the areas in your life.
Assessment.
I think that
Yeah.
is so wonderful. And what's crazy is there's so many people that are negative. So like Cecily said, if you have more negative and more energy vampires around you, then hey, I got a name, baby. I got a name. Then energy angels. Because those are the good vibes.
Goosebumps. I love it.
Yeah, those
I
are the
love
good
it.
vibes. Those are the
Energy
group Cecily
angels.
was talking about, the energy angels, right? You are who you surround yourself. Surround yourself with energy angels, okay? More positive people, more like-minded people who
Yeah.
want to see you be successful and be happy. All right.
I know.
So,
It's like those ladies at my gym. They don't even know me, and they're like, "You're so great." I'm like, "You're so great."
I love that. I love that. All right. The next one is going to be prioritize self care. We talk about this a lot. All right. So
Mhm.
take some time to recharge. I know it's cliche, but you cannot pour from an empty cup. You have to fill your cup too. And again, if you're around too many energy vampires who are, you got to plug it back in. Just like, your phone, you got to charge your phone, you got to charge you, right? So do activities that you love, exercise, read, quiet time, spa, whatever it is, do more things that fill your cup. All right. Schedule downtime after you're in a, energy sucking situation. It's something that you love to do afterwards. Schedule some downtime, whatever it is, to refill your cup. So your cup goes down a little bit, just like your Stanley, right? You got to refill it with water, baby. So
Goes
when it goes
down, you
all the
gotta
way
fill
down,
it back
you
up.
fill her back up, right? When your iPhone dies, you charge it, right?
Yeah.
So making sure that you're being mindful of doing activities that pour into you, that charge you, and that fill your cup.
Yeah. That's so good. And really, especially like Brandy just said, like if you know that you're gonna have a particularly draining time, like like say it's just work, you work with energy vampires and you have to be around them. You can't just be like, sorry, not clocking in today. You have to be around them. So if you know that you're gonna be scheduled or work with a particularly draining person, plan ahead of time and know that maybe right after that interaction, you're gonna go for a walk or you're going to go do your favorite activity, or you're going to go get yourself a cup of coffee. Sometimes that's just really nice. I'm going to go to the coffee shop after this meeting because I deserve a nice latte. Like whatever it is that you need, plan for it so that you're not just caught off guard and then just feeling like garbage all day long because this vampire has sucked your energy. All right, our next one is lead by example, you guys. So this is another just really important thing to note, and that's when you're every single woman that listens to this podcast is someone who's trying to glow up their life, right? You're somebody who wants to improve your life. You're somebody that wants to see what areas in your life can be improved and that you can do better at. And we applaud you for that. And so, you, as a glow girl, it is your responsibility to lead by example. I know it's not always fun, but it is your responsibility that if there is someone who is an energy sucker out of in your life, you can show them the right behavior. So maybe you're in an environment where you guys are in meetings together and they're constantly saying negative things. You can literally just mirror that with a positive statement. So if they say something negative, you take that exact same statement and you just put your positive spin on it. I do this a lot because I have a lot of discipleship conversations where people are trying to grow in their relationship and their walk with Christ, and they might throw something out at me and I can very easily say, hey, I definitely see where you're getting that thought process from, but let me challenge that. And what if you thought this instead? Like, what if you just changed that to this? So sometimes, not all the time, sometimes there are people are just like it's ingrained in them to be negative and there's nothing you can do about that. But a lot of times they've just never been taught a different way. So sometimes you can be the person that influences them to adjust their behavior.
I love that. Lead by example, be the solution, be the influence. It reminds me of something I just told Troy the other day. So Troy got on yellow, and that is not good at school. So it's green, yellow, red. And
I
he's
remember that. Oh, my
green.
kids are old now. Oh, I remember the
Actually,
color.
Maddie's not much
Maddie's
older,
little.
but
She's
Maddie's at
like
home.
a feral child. She doesn't,
Yeah.
she does whatever she wants.
I love it. But the teacher wrote up and was basically like, hey, Troy was, interacting, being a little loud, getting friends distracted, and everybody was following him because everybody loves Troy and,
Mhm.
parentheses. And so this is what the conversation I had with Troy was, hey, babe, you are a leader. You're going to continue to be a leader. And this isn't the first time I've had a conversation with him. So he does good with if people are bothering him. He's like, hey, please don't do
Yeah.
that. I'm doing my work. I'm doing X, Y, and Z. But I said, you are being the distraction. So you were distracting your friends and your friends were following you. And now you're causing, a lot of chaos for your teacher. You've got to do the opposite, baby. You need to listen to your teacher. You need to be a good leader. You need to do the right things so that people follow you the right way
Yep.
versus the wrong way. When somebody's doing something wrong, don't just follow, right? And having those conversations with kids, it's the same thing, right? And we've already talked about gossip. Like when somebody's saying something negative about somebody else, you can just ignore it. You can say the opposite. Well, like, oh, I didn't notice that. I didn't see that. Like,
Yeah.
whatever. You do not have to go down to somebody else's level, right? So I think that's really, really huge. And then also when it comes to mindset, when it comes to people being negative, my biggest thing is like, dude, we live in America, right? Most of the time, like if we're
Yeah.
do we have listeners outside of the United States?
We have listeners all over the world, actually, like in
And cool.
Australia and New Zealand. What up, New Zealand? I don't know who you are, but I'm excited that you're here.
Yeah, thanks for listening to us. But yeah, we're so blessed to have like a job, a roof over our head, food, kids, like
Yeah.
so many things that other people take for granted. We are blessed to have. Those energy suckers are blessed to have. They have no idea how good they have it. And so just kind of reminding people like, hey, is it really that serious? Like, hey, can we be solutions oriented? Anyway, lead by example. And then the last thing, guys, is make tough decisions. This is going to be a hard one. This is going to be a quick one. At the beginning,
Mhm.
we kind of said like a lot of times you can't rid yourself of these relationships, but in some cases, you may have to. If a
Yeah.
relationship continuously drains your energy, doesn't improve despite efforts, it might be time to distance yourself entirely. If this is a one sided relationship, if this person isn't pouring into you, if this person is an energy sucker, if this person is
Mhm.
making no efforts to do better, be kinder, be less of an energy vampire, be more of an energy angel, babe. You gotta let yourself go. And this isn't
Yep.
anything, even if it's not somebody who's an energy vampire, maybe it's somebody who's just mistreating you. Maybe it's somebody who you tried. You got to walk away because you have this is a quote. Oh, it's a quote. Oh, it's a good quote. You have not met all. Stop laughing at me. This is so good. You're going to be like, woo.
I'm
You,
excited.
you have not met all of the people that are going to love you yet.
Oh, wow. That is really good.
Right? We
That's
still
really
have
good.
life to live. Other people who are going to love us, pour into us, be energy angels. So do not keep holding on to the people that are dragging you
Yep.
down, they're bringing you down. Like if you have to let go, let go.
Let go. Yeah. And listen, you don't need 100 people on your team, babe. You don't. You don't need 100 people on your team. Jesus only took 12. Like he didn't say like, "Oh, everybody come along, let's all go preach the gospel." No, he hand selected very specific disciples to follow him. And you are so special. Like every single one of you is so worthy. Not everyone is going to make the team.
That's
They're not
good.
meant to, right? Like if you're going to be on varsity, if you are going to be the A team, not everybody makes it, right? Like we're not just letting everybody participate in our like grade A dreams, okay? Not everybody's going to make the team, not everyone deserves a seat. Like that's okay. They can go sit somewhere else and watch from they can watch from somewhere else, okay? Y'all, we want to help you get rid of these energy vampires. So, by recognizing energy draining behavior and taking proactive steps to manage or eliminate it, you can help protect your peace and create a healthier, more fulfilling environment. And remember, you are beautiful, you are capable, and you are worthy, and we can't wait to watch you grow, girl.